Hello there.
All right, we are here, everyone. The time has come. The Bad Batch has arrived. First 3 episodes of season 3 have dropped. The final season.
Alex.
Yeah, so let's get into it. I hope you've had time to watch it. If not, we totally understand. You can always come back and listen or watch us later. But here we are. We're going to spoiler review the first 3 episodes of The Bad Batch. I'm Kerwin.
Wow.
This is Keith. We are Father Son Galaxy. Thank you so much for joining. All right.
Take a screenshot of that.
So check this out. Okay.
Look at
All
that,
right.
Dad.
Yes. Okay, Keith.
Look at our viewers.
Let's stay focused. All right. So, okay. All right. Good. All right. So let's talk about these 3 episodes. All right. They dropped 3. They were in the middle of the night. I was hoping that maybe that we would get it a little earlier, but we didn't. All right. So let's start with episode 1, Confined. Okay. This episode is written by Jennifer Corbett. She is the head writer for The Batch. This was a riveting episode. Now I'll talk about how I felt about it. You tell me what you think. This had me standing. I watched this episode standing up. I was just very tense.
Dad was on the edge of his seat.
I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And what it was, and the funny thing is, it wasn't a lot happening, but that's what made it so riveting. That you see Omega in her cell, and she is just going through this mundane routine of getting up, looking out the window. She has a nice view, although she can't get outside. She's got this basin in her room with water dripping, and then Anne-Marie, her sister, comes in and says, "Hey, come on, we got work to do." And Omega walks out as if she's like one of the workers there. They're not treating her like a prisoner, although they do have prisoners there, but she's walking out in the same uniform as Anne-Marie, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. It feels like a prison to her, but to them, this isn't a prison. This is freedom.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's just like the Empire. They're not very colorful. I mean, you take a look at the backdrop. It's gray. It's dark.
The Empire is so drab.
People are not even speaking to each other. Just going about their business. I love the part where Anne-Marie is going around, and every single day she is testing or taking samples of the clone's blood. And she also took a sample of Omega's blood and put it in a vial. And, she told Omega, take these vials and carry it over to the lab where Nala Se works. She gets it to Nala Se, and Nala Se realizes, I think Omega told her, well, they're checking everybody's blood, including mine.
It's routine. And then Nala Se is like, no, we cannot let anybody know that you have this positive M count. Yes. So she destroys the sample. And honestly, I'm kind of shocked that she was able to get away with that without swapping it out. Because did nobody notice that the blood sample count was down from what Emery was giving them? Well, there was always a sample missing. Did Emery not count them? And did she not give that count to Hemlock? Was he not shocked that there was one missing?
Well, I think they started to realize it at the end of episode 3 when we get to it, where
it took a long time.
Yeah, well, look, there's a lot of people working there. Things aren't always on point for people. People are doing their work, they're minding their business, and it's not until you get somebody like the Emperor, come in, make a surprise visit to your facility,
and then
all of a sudden
everybody is minding their own business.
Everybody, well, and not only that, they're checking their P's and dotting their I's, crossing their T's to make sure that everything is in line. And that is when they realized that something was wrong, something was off.
I'm just imagining Hemlock walking past that blood sample and then backtracking, like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And then Nala Se, let me just talk a little bit about Nala Se. I really feel for Nala Se.
Oh my God. Remember how she used to have a personality in the first season?
No, she never had a personality.
Yeah, not to me, no. At least she wasn't so boring.
No, I think
she's always been boring, but she was a little less boring in the first season.
She's been reserved.
And now she's just so reserved, so bland, so tired and overworked,
Well, a lot of what she's doing is she's doing it under duress. She's doing things because Hemlock is telling her to do it. So it's not like she is working because she loves what she does. She's doing it because she has no choice. Yeah. So I can understand the attitude that she's having.
But by the end of the 3rd episode, Nala Se really has no reason to work for them because Omega and Crosshair have already escaped. So
Well, this is why I fear for Dallas's life.
Yeah,
Well,
she has no reason to work, and they have no reason to keep her. Now that they already have their M count sample, Nalase has no purpose to the Empire, which makes me think she's not going to be seeing the other side of the third season.
yeah, she's really tampering with evidence, and she's doing it for the right reason. She doesn't want the Empire to know that Omega is the one with the high M count. So what she does is she takes a vial and she discards it, deletes her profile from the screen, and then does that every single day. As long as she knows that Omega's blood is being tested, she does the same thing, takes the vial, throws it away, moves on.
Well, actually, the only reason they found out is because Nalase went with Hemlock before she could get rid of Omega's sample, so Emery tested them.
Well, that's true, right?
And then Omega's blood count popped up.
It did, right.
She had too many M counts, so they were like, oh my gosh, we found the miracle cure, the final breakthrough.
Yeah, right. And that's the third episode, right? So we're going to get there. All right. So, did you want to say something?
No,
else?
just adios.
Okay. All right. M count. I think, Star Wars fans are aware of what that means. They don't want to say the word midi-chloridian.
I think it's midi-chlorians.
See, maybe that's the reason why, because people mispronounce it. Yeah.
I'm just going to call it chlorine.
Okay. The midi-chlorine.
Mini-chlorine. Yeah, yes. That's funny.
Yes.
Like a mini bottle of chlorine.
Yes. So the M count.
Midi-chlorine.
Yeah. So we know how important that is. Anakin Skywalker, of course, had one of the highest off the charts. But I guess they can't use his M count because I don't know.
I mean,
he's more machine than man.
I highly doubt they could get a needle through Anakin's metal arm and
right.
his suit.
Yeah, they have to.
Even if they could,
Yeah.
I think Vader might start force choking some people. It's like, oh, that needle hurts.
There's no way.
And then starts choking out
there's no
the
way.
medical officer.
Yeah. There's no way to get him to ever resort to anything like that. All right. Let's see who's here today. All right. Well, thank you so much for everyone who's watching us.
Q&A. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, on YouTube or on Instagram. Thank you. So we got Alex, our good buddy Alex, our councilman. I wonder if the forced blood samples uses of the clones for medical experiences an analogy for reference to eugenics. Ooh.
What is eugenics?
Yeah. Explain what that is. Eugenics. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know?
Yeah. Do you know what it is?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. To do with genetics? Wow. Okay. All right. Let's talk about that some more, Alex. All right.
I need to educate myself.
All right. Yeah. Enjoyed hearing your thoughts while talking with Star Wars Explained and looking forward to hearing more now. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks to everybody who's coming off of Alex and Molly's video with Star Wars Explained.
That's a good point. We should have mentioned that.
Good people.
Yeah, we should have mentioned that before. So actually, we were on Alex and Molly's Star Wars Explained. Always enjoy ourselves being there. Thank you, Dallas. Hello. Thank you for joining us. We had a really good time talking about the first 3 episodes. So thank you once again. If you caught us at 6 o'clock and now you're still hanging around here. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yes. We have
Amaranth. Can't stick around, but it was great to hear your thoughts here and on Star Wars Explained.
Thank you.
I subscribed and we'll come back to watch more later.
Oh, fantastic.
Yay, thank you.
That's wonderful.
We have
Thank
some
you so
new
much.
videos that'll be up. An interview with the first Black Disney Imagineer to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
We'll talk about that.
And that's Lanny Smoot. And then we also have like a Madam Web video that we're going to post soon.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that at the end of the show.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. So, but thank you. And thank you for even giving that comment. And we understand that you can't stick around. So, Jose.
Hello.
All right. Hello, Jose. How are you? Yeah. All right. So let's keep going then. All right. So let's see. All right. Lurker hounds. All right. This looks like a new animal that
kind of wish it was char hounds so we could tie it into the High Republic.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, they remind you a little bit of the char hounds, but it's a lurker hound. Voiced by D. Bradley Baker, which I did not know.
Because, of course, D. Bradley Baker is also the voice of Nubs.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Nubs just goes, hey! So.
Yeah. Good point, Matthew. I don't think Palpatine would want Vader to know about Project Necromancer, which is interesting. You're right. Because,
I don't know why.
Well, no, but if you think about what Vader's role is after he became the Sith Lord, he was supposed to go out and get rid of all the Jedi. Who has more M counts than Jedi, right? You would think. But what the Emperor's doing is trying to find people with M counts so that he can use it for his experiment. So that is interesting.
I don't know
You're
why
right.
he wouldn't tell Vader about this though. Vader,
Mhm.
he has some persuasive methods to get people to talk. So maybe he could just stick a needle into somebody's arm, get a sample of their blood, and run it for
Yeah.
M counts. I mean, that seems way simpler than testing clones. Wait,
Yeah.
why were they testing clones? They're all derived from Jango Fett in theory. So if one of them doesn't have it, then none of them should. We know Jango Fett didn't have an M count, so why were they exclusively testing clones? Did Palpatine not think to have Vader capture some Jedi? Like, Cal Kestis is still around, so is Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. And there was that one Jedi from the Kenobi show that was there. Revis Force incident. They have a whole task force of Inquisitors at this point in time, so
Yeah.
I don't know why Palpatine wasn't taking their M count samples,
Well,
lining everybody up for their vaccinations, basically. I mean,
yeah. Well, that would make sense. I don't know, but
yeah, Palpatine's not the type of person to beat around the bush or to do pointless quests, He gets straight to the point. I don't think he would enjoy wasting his time on clones that literally are all from the same person's DNA, and none of them have that M count.
So here's the thing.
That's
This
a bit
is
of a rant.
no, that's fine. What this is all leading to is, I guess they're trying to connect Palpatine coming back in The Rise of Skywalker. I know, every time I bring up that title, The Rise of Skywalker.
Oof.
So, so cloning is something that we know that Palpatine is very interested in. Maybe that wasn't something that interests Vader. So no, of course he's not going to tell Vader about it, but it's for his own selfish reasons. Right? Because Palpatine is trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I return? If something happens to me while I'm gone, how do I come back? I think this is all about him. It has nothing to do with Vader, which is why Anakin knew nothing about this.
Here's what I think is
Yeah.
weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I've literally forgotten it. Hold
Okay.
on. No,
Yeah.
wait. I remember now.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it weird that we have to use other pieces of media in Star Wars to back up The Rise of Skywalker?
Okay.
I mean, they should have just kept Snoke and gave him an upgrade or something.
All right. Well, that's all. We can always talk about The Rise of Skywalker some other time. I don't want to veer way too off. We're going to talk about Project Necromancer. That's something that was brought up in episode 3. So let's finish up with 1. All right. Let's talk about Omega. We talked about Batcher. Batcher is this animal apparently being used as attack animals for the Empire, but they're domesticated animals, right? Because
they weren't domesticated yet, but Omega domesticates them.
Yeah, well, so this animal had a wound that Omega, bless her heart, she loves people, animals, whatever it is. So she heals the wound, and now this animal, it feels loyalty to Omega. All right. So, we'll talk about what happens to Batcher. Let's talk about Omega and Crosshair. Now, this is interesting because of all the other brothers, her other the members of the batch, she has the least connection with Crosshair until now.
Well, yeah, because she hardly knew him. All the other batch members, save for Echo, they had a pretty long connection with them. And then Echo became acquaintances with them after the season ended, season 7 of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But they all knew him like the back of their hands, which is why their betrayal stung so much. But Omega, she barely knew him.
Yeah. I remember there was a scene in the first episode of season 1 when they were imprisoned by the Empire, and she and Omega and Crosshair were sitting next to each other, and she was trying to console him. This was the time when he felt the chip, like he was getting these headaches or pains in his head.
And then he was like, "Good soldiers for the
right." And and she was aware of the chips, and she came over to him to console him and said, "Well, we know what you're doing is beyond your control, so we know it's not you." All right. So as far as I remember, her interaction with Crosshair was very few and far between until now. So now we see the scene where she's walking along with Emery in one direction, and then Crosshair and the other prisoners are walking in the other direction, and you look at Crosshair. I mean, he just looks beat,
soulless.
Yes, tortured. Like whatever it is that he went through, you could feel it, see it in his body language, and he was just looking down. Never saw Crosshair look like that before, and you can see that how concerned Omega was when she walked past him. So she made it a point to go back to his cell and try to talk him into escaping. Of course, Crosshair's like, leave me alone, don't bother me. Like it's not gonna happen. So yeah. And that's pretty much the first episode. Again, it was really just that routine, that monotonous. Yeah. The dripping of the water at the very beginning, I thought was very cool. I mean, even the music sounded muted, robotic. And Marie, the way that she walks and talks, it was just very eerie, but I loved it. And then there was a scene at the end where Omega was able to release Batcher, right? Because they were going to terminate him because
release that
right after he got it,
after
the animal got injured. They felt okay, well, he was no use to them, and that they were going to terminate him. And she was able to get him out, which was pretty cool.
Is it a he or a she?
Well, actually, you don't know. All right, so
I think it's a she.
Well, okay, let's just call it a lurker hound. The lurker hound, Batcher, just walked out.
Batcher,
right?
Batcher walked out.
She was able to have the animal escape.
That was an awful.
And she was caught. Impression. She was caught by Hemlock.
And Hemlock said,
"Creepy Hemlock."
Nice try, Omega.
Right. And
send her back to her cell and limit her access.
Exactly. And something he said, I wrote it down. Emotion and sentiment have no place within these walls. Ooh, creepy. Okay, so
white van man.
All right, yeah, the white van. Yeah. All right, so that's episode 1. Anything else you wanted to talk about with episode 1 before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So let us know, what is your favorite moment from that first episode of The Bad Batch? Anything else you wanted to talk about? Something that we might have missed? Let us know. All right. We're going to move on to episode 2. All right. Episode 2, by the way, episode 1 was called Confined. Episode 2 is called Pass Unknown by Matt Michnovis. All right. Or Michnovis. This starts off with a guest, a familiar face that we've seen from season 1, Roland Durand.
Yes. The Horn Man.
The Horn Man, yes. If you saw that episode, very interesting. He was trying to take over Sid's bar. And apparently he must have owed the Pikes some money, or he got involved with the Pikes. They came after him, then he chopped off one of his horns, and that's how it ended. So this episode begins with Hunter and Wrecker bringing this Pike forward to the Durands, in exchange for information. So they give up the Pike. Durand gives them information as to where they may be able to find Hemlock's lab. All right. So they go to this planet. One of the things I wanted to mention about Hunter, now we know, of course, we're not going to talk about it too much, but we know what happened to Tech. Tech is gone. Omega is captured and imprisoned somewhere, and he just doesn't know.
And Echo quit.
He just doesn't know what to do. I mean, it's just right. It's just him and Wrecker right now. And he just looks like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulder. There was a scene where he was sitting at this console and he's putting in these coordinates or a data pad, and he looks like he's trying to do the work that Tech would have done, and maybe not very tech savvy.
Yeah, but sadly, he's not Tech.
No, right, exactly. But you could just tell.
Not even Emery.
Okay, we'll get to that. And not even, he's not even close to being Tech. And I think he could just feel that how much he misses his brother, without it being said. They never mentioned Tech's name.
I love Gonky.
All right. So let's go to Q&A if we have more Q&A.
I love Gonky.
Gonky. What about Gonky? Let's see what we got here. All right. And Gonky. There you go. All right. What else we got? All right, Shakur. Hey, guys, I'm a fan of your podcast. Thank you so much. Shakur Eccles. Thank you for joining us. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. And we have. Okay. All right. So let's go. So let's continue talking about this episode. So They got some information. Wrecker and Hunter go to this planet. They find nothing except the char remains of what used to be a lab.
Yeah.
Hemlock is gone, right? It's
the aftermath of Oppenheimer, basically.
Yeah.
This is where they stopped rolling the movie.
Yeah, it looked like
they decided, let's stop taping here. Let's move to a different set piece.
Yeah,
we're gonna leave this here.
That place was bombed badly. I mean, there was nothing left, and we're hoping that Omega's not there, or she was not a part of it, but we know that she's not. But anyway,
thank you for being a fan, by the way.
So they don't find Omega, but they do find more clones.
Yeah.
All right.
So Mox, Stack, and D.
Yeah. So these are some young clones. Now I can't tell you if they're the same clones that we saw in season
They're
1.
Not. If you look at the wiki, they don't have any season 1 references.
I see. Okay. All right. So they just happen to be clones that were on Camino. And
yeah, lucky for them, they managed to escape.
Right. They were able to get transferred from Camino, because we know what happened to Poca City. They were transferred to another planet and just left to fend for themselves. All right. So these 3 characters. And then let's see. The characters, Mox, Stax, and Deke. All right. So they're just trying to make a living for themselves, trying to figure out what they're doing, what their purpose is. They were supposed to be trained as soldiers. Didn't work out that way. So they're trying to help Wrecker and Hunter find Omega. But of course, they know that they're not on that planet. But, it's like the monster of the week, right? There's always some type of monster that...
Or borrowing from Miles Morales, the villain of the week.
Yeah. There's always...
Yeah, you're just some day
You can't just drop down on a planet and just take off. Something has to hold you back. There's got to be something preventing you from leaving.
The spot's like, I'm not some day of the week villain. I'm going to crease your J, Spider-Man.
All right. Okay. Very good. All right. So they managed to, get free of this monster. They really had to use probably all of their, detonators or weapons or whatever they had on the ship to really destroy this creature. But at the end, they took care of the creature. They got back on the ship.
Yeah, those little slither vines.
Yes, the vines.
Annoying slither vines.
Right, yeah.
I mean, what kind of Last of Us infection is this? I mean, there's like different stages.
Yeah.
There's a slither vine. There's these little slither monsters, little slither squids, I will call them.
Yeah.
And then there's the big slither monster.
Yes, okay, right.
It's literally the cordyceps virus.
Okay, all right, okay. And they escape, okay? They're gone.
All right. Alex?
Yes.
Interesting. I saw Star Wars Explained's review of the premiere, and Alex of Star Wars Explained said that the kids were in the Bad Batch Season 1's pilot episode. Lol. Interesting how he and Wiki disagreed. Yeah, we were actually on that show. He said that.
Yeah, well, right. I don't know. I actually thought they were. And I actually thought Alex wasn't sure if they were the same kids from Season 1.
I mean,
so it's hard to know. They all look alike. I'm not trying to be offensive, but the clones,
they are derived from the same person,
right? Yeah. So you don't know. They could be the same clones from Season 1, or could they just be 3 different characters, brand new characters that we don't know?
It would be hilarious.
What would be hilarious?
Having a twin.
You having a twin, or just twins in general?
Having a twin, that would be hilarious.
I think it would be having 2 of you.
I could just swap places with myself whenever I want to.
Well, it doesn't work that way. Okay.
If I need to go to my job, I can have my twin do it.
Okay, well, there's a difference between having a twin and a clone. It's like a twin is going to have his or her own personality.
Nope.
They're not going to do what you tell them to do. But if you have a clone, maybe.
What if I pay them?
Maybe you could program. I don't think that'll work either. Money is not everything.
You need money to live. You need money to pay for place to live. You need money for food. You need money for water.
But also, you're not
going
to hire somebody to do something just because you said to do it. Doesn't work that way.
Isn't that a job?
Right. There you go. All right. I got nothing. So what was nice at the end of this episode 2, there was a mention of indirectly mention of Pabu, because when they got the 3 clones, the boys on the ship, Hunter recommended a safe haven for them, and it looks to me that they were going to take them to Pabu, and that's where they're going to stay and live out their lives until they decide to go somewhere else. So that's pretty cool. So it looks like we'll see Pabu again. I'm glad for that. All right. Let us know what you think about season 2. If you have any questions or comments, anything that we might have missed.
I will say this episode felt a little bit filler.
Okay. Talk about it.
It just kind of felt like a fetch quest to catch us up, to catch the batch up to where Omega currently is, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I did enjoy it. So
now that's very interesting you brought that up, because before we saw these first 3 episodes, I was on the impression that they were going to take, so this is what I was thinking. I'm so glad this didn't happen, that it was going to take Hunter and Wrecker the entire season to rescue Omega. I know you say that. I said that sounds painful that we had to wait 16 episodes before they rescue Omega, but I really thought that's where they were going. And I'm glad they didn't do that.
That would have been so boring.
I know. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It would have been boring. So
can you imagine?
That's the reason why I'm not writing the show.
Can you imagine watching 16 episodes of somebody trying and failing to rescue somebody?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Because, I'm just so used to the batch being on a mission of the week, right? And the mission would be, okay, let's find Omega. And they would get to a point where they're close. And then all of a sudden it turns out to be a false information, or they get, double crossed by somebody and betrayed.
Triple cross.
I thought that would just go on throughout the entire season. I'm glad it
Would it be funny to have a character who's just constantly switching sides for no apparent reason?
Yeah, that would be annoying.
But it'd be funny.
Yeah, okay.
Can you imagine if there was one person who was just teaming with the Batch, and then all of a sudden teams up with the Empire, and then beats them all up and goes back with the Batch only to join them again?
Gotcha. All right. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. But again, I'm so glad that's not the way it worked out, because in episode 3, things started to move real quick. All right. So episode 3 is called Shadows of Tantiss, written by Matt Michnovitz. All right. So once again, we're back at the facility. We're on Tantiss. We got that routine still continuing. Emery walks in and says, well, come on. Let's go.
Poor Omega. Just looks
come on, Omega. Work to do.
Right.
And then she's doing the same thing. Omega decides that, okay, well, something needs to be done. So she goes and she visits Crosshair, and she tries to talk him into, again, trying to come up with a plan to escape. She says that I don't have a plan, but we're going to get out of here. We're going to figure it out. And, Crosshair once again would just, please leave me alone.
Crosshair says, leave me out of it.
Right. Yeah.
And Omega says, no.
Yeah.
You're coming with me.
Right. Now, here's what happened. Now, you were just talking about it earlier, that Nala say,
Omega got visiting, by the way.
Well, yeah, right. Palpatine. This is a big moment, because
Judgment Day.
We saw Palpatine and his royal guards.
It's like when corporate comes to do a check on the office.
Exactly. Yeah. When you have one of those big clients come and visit you.
That's like having the CEO visit you at McDonald's to do a performance review.
Yeah. Exactly what it is. It's like spot checking. You know what I mean? So they come in. Well, of course, the usual draw your blood. Omega gets her blood drawn. Nala Se is ready to get that vial, but she has to walk away with Hemlock to meet the Emperor. So now what is she going to do? Oh, no, I need to get her vial, because if they test it, the M count is going to go skyrocket. All right, so what she says, she tries to whisper to Omega and said, you got to get out of here. Get my data pad, get out of here, find a shuttle, just leave this place and don't come back. All right. And that's exactly what Omega does. She gets the data pad and she tells Crosshair, we got to go. He finally listens to her and he grabs a blaster and makes their escape. Now, what was interesting, there was a scene where Anne-Marie was actually trying to stop them from leaving.
And she's like, it's not too late. You can turn back. And then Crosshair says, nah, and then stuns her. So
yeah. And that was,
he's like, nah.
Yeah. And that was good on his part to not use, real blasters, right?
Thankfully, he didn't use lethal force.
Right. Exactly. So here's my thing. I want to talk about this, and I brought this up on Star Wars Explained, and I know you disagree, but let me explain myself, okay? And let me know if you
explain yourself, sir.
I will. I'm going to say this, and let me know if anyone's watching or listening. If you agree or disagree, let us know. I think at some point, Anne-Marie is actually going to take the side of the Bad Batch.
No.
Because when I saw her for the first time in the last episode of last season, she reminded me, and this was after Tech was gone, she reminded me so much of Tech. She just looked to be that person who is, she's smart. She knows computers. She knows data. You know, she's got the data pad and she can get the information that she needs. She would be a fantastic ally for the Batch because she knows Hemlock's operation inside and out. I don't know how long she's been working for him, but she's got a lot of information. So if they can, I think what could happen is that they're going to go back to Tantiss. Omega is going to try to talk Marie into joining them on the Batch so that she and Marie can help them release all the other clones. So, and I said, I maybe I made a mistake by saying that she's going to be a replacement for Tech. I didn't mean to say replacement now, but I think that she is going to provide the information that the Batch will need to take down Hemlock and his operation. What do you think? Does that make sense? Okay. You're not hearing it. Okay. All right. Anyway, so they make it out. They get a, Omega and Crosshair, they make it out. They get a shuttle. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Excuse me, Palpatine loves what he's seeing. He said that this is an important operation for him. Anything that you need, let him know. Again, we know this has to do with him. It's all about him, his selfishness, about maybe bringing him back 20, 30 years from now. So he was pleased with what happened. Once he leaves, Hemlock gets word that Omega's gone. It's like, what do you mean she's gone? All right, well, she disappeared. She escaped, right? And he's also aware, as you brought it up earlier, that the M count has now went up now that they were able to test Omega's blood. So he wants Omega back.
And he wants Nala Se questioned.
Yes, and and that's again why I feel Nala Se is, she only has a few more episodes left. I like you. I don't think she's going to make it.
Her clock is expiring fast.
I don't think she's going to make it to episode 15. I'd be very surprised. So let me see. I think that is it. We mentioned about Project Necromancer. This was something that was first heard in Mandalorian season 3. If you recall, this was with General Hux. This was Captain Pelion, who was actually Thrawn's right-hand man. So we know that Necromancer is still something that was...
Technically it was Brundle Hux.
Okay, Brundle Hux.
Hux's dad.
This was something that the Empire has been working on for many years, apparently, because remember, this is, The Mandalorian is taking place 30 years after this Bad Batch episode. So it seems to me that Necromancer was something that started back 20, 30 years ago, and maybe it failed at some point. And now the Empire, after the Empire is falling and the Emperor is supposedly gone, dead, they want to bring it back. All right. So that's something to look forward to. And you said something on Star Wars Explained that I thought was very interesting. If you could talk about it, that Necromancer may have something to do with bringing back Asajj Ventress.
Yeah, because there's really no other way Ventress could be back to life in this Bad Batch season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, hold on.
Yeah, sure. Take your time. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. So yeah.
Also, what do you notice about Omega? She has blonde hair and she's force sensitive, or at least she has a high M count. What do we know about Ventress? She has blonde hair and she has a high M count.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they combine Jango Fett and Ventress's DNA to make Omega, in the hopes that they would get some sort of clone with an M count high enough to be harvested and reproduce to make new force-sensitive clones.
Okay, so this is very interesting. So my theory was that she as an Asajj was brought back by the Night Sisters. But you're thinking the Night Sisters have nothing to do with this, because when they usually bring back one of their own, they're not really flesh, they're not of the flesh. They're kind of more ghostly looking.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
They look more dead than alive.
Right. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So this could be, like you said, an experiment of bringing back Asajj Ventress as a clone. Could she be a clone?
I hope not.
Okay, so
I feel like that would really cheapen it.
Okay, so
I mean, like, imagine if they just brought in like a clone of Luke Skywalker.
Okay, so
I mean, I know that's different because that's a massive scale, but I feel like a Ventress clone would just cheapen her reintroduction.
Okay,
so
but what other way would they be able to bring her back if not a clone?
Well, I mean, we thought Maul was dead, right? He lost his lower half and then fell down a reactor shaft.
Well, true.
We thought the Grand Inquisitor was dead. Well, nobody did, but
that's a different story.
Practical jokester got stabbed with a lightsaber.
Let's go back and talk about Maul. I understand what you're saying, but that was due to Mother Talzin and the Night Sisters, who was able to heal Maul and bring him back and give him, a new lower half of the body.
Well, maybe they did the same for Ventress.
So you think the Night Sisters are still involved with bringing back?
I don't know. What I'm saying is maybe they gave Ventress to the Empire and then said, do something with this, bring her back. And then they did Project Necromancer. They had her in like a back to take the whole time.
Wow. Okay. All right. We'll see. I mean,
I'm
scratching my head.
I'm just trying to find a workaround that doesn't involve her being a clone.
I get it. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's wonderful that we don't know. And we're not going to know until we actually see her show up exactly how she returns, because I'm out of ideas. And we've already talked about this before. We talked about the book with Asajj and her boyfriend, Quinlan Voss. Great book. But we'll see. All right, let's go to Q&A. Let's see what we have. All right, Ventress probably was revived. Okay. Yeah.
Fortnite, they pulled out her revive card.
We're trying to figure out how exactly, but my prediction is the Zillo Beast at Mount Tantiss will get loose during the Clone Rebellion and will kill Dr. Hemlock, killed by his own experiment. The Zillo Beast. I forgot about the Zillo Beast. Is that possible? That's a good one. What do you think of that?
That is possible.
That is possible. The Zillo Beast. Yeah, we know that, Hemlock has to go down, so I just can't wait to see how that
Hemlock
happens.
is a little too powerful to be left alive after the end of the season.
Okay. Now, one other question that I did ask, we talked about this as Star Wars Explained, to see if there's any possibility of why is his name slipping my
Tech?
No, the one in charge of War Mantle.
Rampart.
Do we think Rampart will return in season 3?
Nah.
You say no. I'm thinking he could, because he's in jail. Supposedly, he's supposed to be in jail. He doesn't seem to me to be the person who can stay for jail for too long. So he's going to try to come up with some kind of plea bargain to get out. And what he could do, not that he would necessarily throw the Emperor under the bus like the Emperor did to him, but maybe give some clues as to the plans, the Empire's plans for the clones. We know at some point the clones are going to get wiped out, but maybe he has some information as to what they're going to do, when they're going to do it. He can maybe strike a deal with Senator Chuchi. Maybe we'll see her come back. Senator Chuchi. So we don't know. I think we could see him. I agree with the theory that Omega's blood will be used to bring back Ventress. I heard the theory today too. Oh, it makes sense. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, that's not what I said, but
great
theory.
That's interesting. Dr. Hemlock is a donor of Snoke. Who knows?
You think Hemlock's like giving his blood out left and right?
Well, Snoke's and Hemlock's personality are pretty much. It's kind of similar. They're both very creepy people. So
there's a lot of creepy people in Star Wars.
Yeah, but something about his voice and his mannerism. He moves very slow. He talks slow.
Okay, but who's not creepy? Kino Loy.
Kino knows, right? He's not creepy.
He's a normal
Didn't expect to bring back
Lama. Snoke is creepy. Andy Serkis has a pretty good acting range,
Yes, he can play any character. So didn't expect them to bring back Lama Su in season 2. So I think a Rampart return is possible. Whatever happened to Lama Su?
Was he in season 2?
No, Lama Su was in season 2.
I don't remember it.
Right, he was the prime minister.
Did they execute him yet?
They did not. I don't think so.
Is he dead yet?
No, I think he just lost control power after the fall of Kamino, and then never to be seen again. But I think he's still around. All right. Okay. So we're going to wrap up. Let me know what you think of episode 3. If you have any theories for, any theories about episode 3 or anything that you think may happen in the upcoming episodes, let us know. While we do that, we want to just let you know about some upcoming things that we have going on. Is that why you have it? All right. Yes. So let's talk about what we have cooking.
All right.
What we have cooking?
We have a Patreon exclusive, a new Patreon exclusive video coming to our Patreon page. It's going to be
first one.
It's going to be an exclusive interview with Daniel Jose Older and Alyssa Wong. That's going to go straight to Patreon. We might release it on YouTube afterwards in like a month or so, but it's going to be stuck to Patreon for now. So if you'd like to see that video, you can donate to our Patreon page to check it out.
So here's what we're doing with Patreon. We want to encourage people to join our Patreon. So we want to give them something. So what we did, we recorded an episode with Daniel Jose Older and Alyssa Wong, the authors of this book, Escape from Vallow. Great book, by the way. We read the book and we had them on our podcast. We had a wonderful time. That episode, the interview episode, will be, like you said, on our Patreon page. So we're hoping this might, get some traction and maybe get some people to join our Patreon. And if that works out, then absolutely we're going to add some more good stuff to our Patreons so that our patrons will be the first to get a lot of good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. So thanks to our Patreons,
right?
Baraxium and Ruby.
Yes, exactly. So thank you for them. What else we have coming up?
So we have an interview with Disney Imagineer Lanny Smoot, who is recently being inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame.
Okay. Can you tell us more about who Lanny Smoot is?
So he is actually the second person from the entire Walt Disney Company to be inducted into this Hall of Fame. The first being Walt Disney himself. He's been working with Disney for 25 years, creating many recognizable things like interactive koi pods, holo tiles, and most importantly, the Disney lightsabers from the theme parks.
Yeah, that was exciting to hear.
Mm-hmm. You can hear even more in our interview, which will be up soon.
All right. Yep. All right. What else?
And lastly, we have our Madam Web spoiler review. We may or may not post that to Patreon.
No, I don't think we're going to put on Patreon.
I think we're going to slap that bad boy right on YouTube.
So
it is
we went to see it this past weekend, and we have lots of thoughts about it. We don't want to give too much.
Here's my first thought.
Yes.
I want my money back.
There you go. I think that's a big one.
So
that's
just watch that video. That
sets the tone for the entire episode. So if you've seen it, wonderful. Let's discuss it. If you have not, you're lucky. Good for you. If you have not seen it.
Don't waste your money.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think, judging by the amount of money it's made at the box office, I don't think any of you have seen it.
So that spoiler review will be up shortly. So, okay, what else you got coming
next up? We got some new projects that we plan on reviewing. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah, they dropped all their episodes this month. Yep.
New Young Jedi Adventures episodes.
More episodes.
And then X-Men 97 coming out in March.
That's awesome.
If
you're
they have sets for it. It's like a little jet. It's like 300 pieces and it's $80.
Ooh. If you're
it looks like the Hoopty, but worse.
Okay.
No, wait. Put that in reverse.
Wait a minute. Is this
the Hoopty is way worse. It's just a big gray box with an orange windshield.
So they have a Lego referencing the new X-Men?
It's the first ever Rogue minifigure.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'll look it up.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's very, very cool. All right. Yeah, so there's a lot going on. This is going to lead into March, obviously, and there are some other things that we have going on as well, which we don't have it finalized yet, but stay tuned, locked in, notification bell.
So it's got a Magneto that doesn't look like Magneto, a Cyclops, the first Rogue, and a Wolverine.
Okay.
They also have one that's for like 2012. So.
All right. So become a subscriber if you're not already. Follow our notifications. We got, we're going to be doing quite a few things in the next few months, so we don't want you to miss out. Okay, so I think that is it. Any final comments? We'll take those right now. We got my huge prediction is that Mountain Tantiss will have a huge explosion. I could see that, and all the experimental escape and the clones of. Oh yeah, they will escape, and the clones of Palpatine too. Yeah, they will all escape, huh? Well, the goal is to get the clones out, right? I don't know if all of them will make it, but
I mean, there's got to be some stakes.
Hemlock brought him to Mount Tantiss for information. Okay. All right, Hemlock. Yeah. Hemlock is among the creepiest in Star Wars in my view. It might be the calm, quiet voice. Yes, exactly. Or the experiments. There's just something very creepy about him. I don't like him. He's a, you know what, this is very funny. He's a very effective villain. I mean, if you go from, you thought Rampart was bad, and then you go from Rampart to Hemlock, like, wow, like, unbelievable. Lama Su told Hemlock Nala Se could be controlled if they found a young clone named Omega. Very good point. Hemlock said he'd give Lama Su freedom in return. Okay. All right. So that makes sense. So Lama Su is okay and safe, and he's out
Lama
of power.
Su is more than willing to sacrifice some people.
He's no longer in power, so I don't think we're going to see any more of him. Great question. What was the question, Tanya?
With your predictions and theories.
Oh, okay. My favorite part is hearing theories from Kerwin and Keith. Thank you so much, Alex. Great points by both of you. Thank you so much. We really enjoyed this. This is fun. Jose's prediction of the Zilla Beast killing Dr. Hemlock reminds me of the ending of Naked Gun 33 and the third. Oh,
33 and a half? What?
Yeah, I remember that. It's been a long time since I've seen Naked Gun. I can't believe it. Yeah. I have to go back and watch it again.
What is that?
Well, it's a spoof with you wouldn't know the actor, Leslie Nielsen. He played Frank Drebin. He was a police officer.
The heck is Frank Drebin?
He was not very smart. Right. It was a comedy. It was like a Inspector Clouseau type character.
I have not
if you don't even know who that is. Clouseau. Okay, I'm telling my age. All right, so this is cool. I think that is it.
Dad,
so,
you're not that old.
No. You're right. I'm not that old, but I've seen a lot more than you have, so which is fine.
What's that meant to be?
It means I've seen a lot more.
Ah!
That's okay, but that's okay. All right. Anything else, Keith?
Fire, the world's on fire.
Okay. Is there anything else that we want to discuss before we close?
No, that's it.
Okay. Where can people find us?
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Fatherson Galaxy, website at fathersongalaxy.com. Please donate to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Fatherson Galaxy, for more exclusive Patreon vids like this. And then our merch store, fathersongalaxy.myshop.com.
Yeah, can't wait for episode 4. Let's see where this is going. I'm so glad we're off to a great start with the first 3 episodes of The Bad Batch. Looking forward to it. So that is it, everyone. So we'll be back soon, very soon. And again, look out for our upcoming interviews and videos. So until next time, take care. And we will see you again.